What's going on, people? This is about the Authors Guild, and it's asking for $750 for every book Google scans. But Google, rightly, is pointing out that there's no evidence of any harm to any authors in the Authors Guild. Now, just a little bit of history on this. Google had decided to start a book scanning project to try to digitize every last book, put it online so people can see books, read them online, make PDFs, etc., etc. What the Authors Guild is trying to do is essentially stop this project or make a lot of money for their cadre of authors. Not a lot of people use the Authors Guild at this current point in time because there's over 100,000 independent ebook sellers that are essentially making more money than they did with the Authors Guild or any other published Big Six publisher. So what's happening here is that the authors have asked for $750 per book, but the actual filing wasn't available when I looked at it. So the face of it, what they're trying to do is do the statutory limit and say that this is a reasonable number. 750 per book scan seems to be a reasonable number. So it's thinking, the Authors Guild seems to think that they're generous. So now it's rationalizing this by saying that that's the minimum under the law when it could seek as much as $150,000 per work. Now, if anybody has paid attention to LimeWire and the Google issue or LimeWire's fight with the recording industry, you understand that going for $3 trillion does not sit well with any kind of judge. What this is actually showing is the insanity of statutory damages in copyright law, which have no connection to reality. If anybody has paid attention to Snake Eyes. Now, if anybody has actually paid attention to the LimeWire versus recording industry issue, what happened there is that $3 trillion was asked for by calculating that statutory damages is $150,000. And I have a great video to say about that, and you can look at it now. But what Google is arguing is that the authors have completely failed to prove any harm while making the argument that the scanning project is failure use. So what Google is pointing out is that they're creating an index of everything in the books, not necessarily acting as a substitute for the books. So the purpose serves to make information more widely available by increasing the demand for books and helping users find new books. So of course, I actually am agreeing with Mike Masnick here. His argument for books and for fair use is very compelling. In the end, it's likely that the case will depend on the fair use ruling. It should also be seen as a case that highlights the insanity of statutory licenses in copyright law. Of course, Google is creating a useful tool, and what's happening with the statutory damages is limiting what we effectively are able to use. So of course, I'd love to hear what people have to say. What do you think? Does the Authors Guild actually have a point? Does Google have a point? I'd love to hear in the comments below, and I'll see you all next time.